Spectres, welcome back. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I certainly did. Jennasis, both of my football teams have won national titles now. As a Buckeye fan and an Eagles fan, I'm over the moon.
That is great. I'm very, very happy for you.
So those of you who don't know, Jennasis is an Oregon Ducks fan. So she's trying to practice her best. What is the opposite of Schadenfreude?
I'm being gracious.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I just wanted to get that out of the way because we did just watch the Super Bowl yesterday from when we're recording this. Go Birds to all my fellow Eagles fans. But we're not talking about birds today. We're talking about lizards. Specifically, the lizard bat turtle buddies. And we're back to the Laura episodes with everyone's favorite grouchy lizard grandpa.
Where did the bat come into play with that?
Okay, so that's actually a fun fact. I read this in the Art of Mass Effect book, that the Krogans were originally designed to have the faces of bats. Their faces are supposed to look like a bat's face. Yeah. So anyway, in case you didn't pick up, we're talking about Krogan today, and not just any Krogan. We're talking about Wrex. Sexy Rexy, as you like to call him. Jennasis. So last time we spoke about Wrex, we were mainly talking about how he shifted from a largely, kind of cold merc to this lovable grump that we get to know by Mass Effect 3. But now, by Mass Effect 3, how would you characterize him overall, Jennasis?
In one word, established.
Yeah.
Because ME2 Wrex couldn't travel with us because his power base was still unstable, but now his methods have proven to be viable. He can trust the clans to maintain the status quo and can further Krogan diplomacy by being able to travel off-world.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that he's not under constant, threat of usurping on Tuchanka. I mean, there's definitely still the threat. But it's not like he just solidified power. And in that, I think it's kind of this ultimate culmination for Wrex, where you remember when we were talking about Wrex in Mass Effect 1, we were discussing how he was this young kid who got exiled for dreaming of a better future for his people. And ultimately that led him into conflict with his dad. And although he defeated his dad, he left. And he's essentially been living as this prince in exile archetype, if you want to call it that, where he shirked his responsibility to his people for a while in favor of the merc life, because what kind of future do we have? But then by Mass Effect 3, he becomes this leader that his people desperately need. And it's this truly wonderful story.
I fully agree. Unless you have been undermining the Krogan the whole time and Wrex isn't a fan of Shepard. In that case, it's not so good.
Okay, but are those people our friends? Because I don't know if I have a single friend. Actually, that's not true. We do know one woman who gleefully laughs when betraying Wrex. And I'm not going to name her. I don't want to dox her. But I know she knows who she is, and she may or may not be listening to this. So in that spirit, let's get to where we meet Wrex in the third game. And we're going to try and go over kind of both sides of this. If you're like a good guy to Wrex, good girl to Wrex, bad girl to Wrex, whatever. We're going to try to. There's so many permutations, though, of different ways that things can go by Mass Effect 3, and not just in Rex's arc, any arc.
Yeah, the fact that there was I was looking for one specific dialogue, and then I realized that there were 7 different variations to one line of dialogue, and I'm like, this is intense.
Oh yeah, if we wanted to fully analyze every permutation of every kind of dialogue branch of every character, we would never have gotten past Liara. First of all, and then we would have been stuck on Liara in Mass Effect 3 in the first half, I think. because there's just so much. And unfortunately, I suppose for the people who enjoy listening to us, I like to try and keep the episodes around an hour every week. Because I do need to eat and sleep and be watered and loved and whatnot. So anyway, yeah, let's get to where we meet Wrex in Mass Effect 3. It's pretty early on in the game, so we have to broker this alliance, if you remember right, and or at least some kind of agreement so that we can get the Krogans, the Turians, and the Solarians all to play nice in the sandbox. And God knows how that's going to go. So we bring on the leaders of the Turian hierarchy, right? The Solarian Union and Tuchanka, aka Wrex, for this diplomatic summit aboard the Normandy. Now, this is like a historic thing, but if you keep Wrex alive in Mass Effect 1, that means he's coming along. That means he is the leader of Tuchanka instead of Reeve. So we have a little clip here that is a good example of how things can go if you have kept Wrex alive. And I definitely want to analyze not just what Wrex says, but also what the other parties here say, because it is very, very critical to understanding Wrex's development in Mass Effect 3. This is like the first time that we see Wrex in Mass Effect 3, so here it is.
The Krogan is in no position to make demands.
The Krogan has a name. Erdnot Wrex. And I'm not just some junkyard Varen you unleash whenever you're in trouble. I've got my own problems. Reaper scouts have arrived on Tuchanka. So why should I care if a few Turians go extinct?
Trying to draw out negotiations will get you nowhere, Wrex. I have no time for it. Just tell us what you want.
I'll tell you what I need. A cure for the genophage.
Absolutely not. The genophage is non-negotiable.
Why are you so opposed to the idea, Dalatras?
Because my people uplifted the Krogan. We know them best.
You mean you used us to fight a war you couldn't win? It wasn't the Solarians, or the Asari, or even the Turians that stopped the Rachni. It was Krogan blood that turned the tide.
And after that, you ceased to be useful. The genophage was the only way to keep your urges in check.
Dalatras, you may not like him, but Wrex is right. Insulting him won't change that.
I won't apologize for speaking the truth. We uplifted the Krogan to do one thing: wage war. It's all they know because it's all we wanted them to know.
Okay, so the Dalatras strikes me as someone that would spread misinformation about vaccines, and then when you call her out on it, she claims that you are censoring her. I'm speaking the truth about the Krogan. No, you're being a racist. That's what you're being.
The urges and we know them best. The way that she speaks about the Krogan is not to my liking at all.
Oh, no. Nope. Not at all for me either. And one of the reasons they're being because, like you've mentioned, that we know them best language, it speaks volumes of like, some people may remember this from history classes, especially if you study this kind of thing in college. But do you remember the concept of like, it was really popular in the 17th, 18th, and even parts of the 19th century about the white man's burden of basically the Solarians exemplifying this and saying, well, we uplifted them, we know them best, and now it's our responsibility to dictate their future because we meddled before. And that they are savages, they cannot govern themselves, yada, yada, yada. It's the Solarians kind of exemplifying this white man's burden thing, and that coming through a head with the we know them best. That always rubs you really wrong. And I can only imagine that's like us as like a third party. Like, what do you think Wrex is thinking when he's hearing that?
You can see it on his face, and I love the way that they blocked out this scene to where it's just him full face frontal to the camera, and his smirk looks devilish and just like step over the line.
Wrex.
Test me. I will show you what my urge looks like.
Full frontal Wrex.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, it is. And he's like, it's almost a sneer too, because it's like you can imagine that Wrex is fantasizing about killing and eating the Dalatras's liver. So yeah, you know, like I mentioned, this is also a historic summit because no matter what happens, a Krogan leader is standing face to face with the leaders of both races who sterilized his. This is like a catch me outside, how about that moment, but they're inside the Normandy and they have to play nice because it's, you know, it's not their ship. This is exactly 1,476 years in the making.
No, we've definitely seen Krogan, Turian, and Solarian interacting together before, but not leaders and people who can actually make decisions. So it is very key that they are all getting together. I just didn't realize it was that long ago.
Wrex actually mentions the number of years since the genophage. So that's where I'm getting that number. And he mentions it in this scene that it's been 1,476 years. Not that he's counting, you know, that's the kind of undertone that it brings every time he brings up the genophage. So Wrex is clearly aware of the history, and not the least of which is his race having been used in wartime against the Rachni. And now he's afraid of his race being used again, where they may be chewed up and spit out, you know, like, oh, thanks for helping us defeat the Reapers. See ya. Like, no more genophage cure. So before that can happen, Wrex is like, I want you to rectify what you did last time. And it's more than a fair demand if you want their troops in war, right? That's
Absolutely.
Like that's the least you can do.
Later on, he talks about the rest of the things that he's going to want after helping to win the war. But yes, this is a great starting point.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might not think that Wrex is like, you know, a shrewd negotiator as having been a merc and not like a diplomat. But yeah, he's starting small and asking bigger. So from here, you can really put your thoughts on record about the genophage. But regardless of what Shepard tells the group, Wrex reveals that he has this quote unquote inside source who tells him that the Solarians are detaining fertile female Krogans. And so you might be asking yourself, okay, well, where did they come from? Because we haven't heard about these female Krogans. Well, they were survivors of Malin's experiments.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's one of the key decisions that you don't even know how far that is going to go. The Malin's data decision in ME2.
Yes.
And so this leads us directly into the mission on Sur'Kesh. And this mission takes us to the home planet of the Solarians. I can't think of another time in history that a Krogan would be on Solarian home ground willingly and knowingly. A lot can go right and a lot can go wrong for the Krogan people in this moment. And Wrex is fired up and ready to go. For him, this isn't just a rescue mission. It's the fate of his people on the line. This goes bad, you have a nihilistic race of Krogan unlikely to help anyone in the war effort. Because why bother? But if it goes right, you have an entire race that owes you their very genetic survival. Well, let's take a listen to how Wrex will react if you decided to destroy Malin's data in Mass Effect 2.
Oh, okay. All right. We got another clip here. This one also from Corbel Cludgewise on YouTube. Forgot to mention Corbel in the first clip, but thank you, Corbel, for uploading these to YouTube. It's very helpful when we discuss the lore. So we've got another clip here from Corbel. Let me go ahead and play it.
These females are my people's best and last hope of curing the genophage. Whose side are you on, Shepard?
Destroying the data was a mistake. This war has shown me every species has a right to thrive.
I want to believe that. I want to believe what you said to the Dalatrass was real. We'll see how things shake out.
And so we'll see how things shake out, he says. This is like... Okay, so obviously it hurts hearing this because Wrex is not... You can tell your relationship with Wrex is very strained from this conversation. Just this little bit. But I have a bigger problem here, and it's that it's for the people who chose to destroy Malin's data because they felt like it was the product of a horrible, inhumane experiment, and that the data itself was an abomination. So we should not legitimize that experiment by keeping the data. In fact, if I remember right, that's one of the justifications for deleting the data in Mass Effect 2, as it's presented to you, that it's ethically wrong. So. And yet we don't have an option to say that to Wrex here. We basically, the only options are you apologize or you say, well, the Krogan weren't ready for a cure.
Which, I mean, both sides can be argued. I don't know if the Krogan would have been ready for a cure while Wrex was still unstable, like his power base was still unstable, if they didn't have a secure leader, somebody who could further, but I mean, I never choose this option to destroy the data, so.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I frequently do. Because I feel like that is actually the true Paragon way to go. Not because you don't feel like not because you feel like the Krogan aren't ready for a cure. The true Paragon Shepherd would feel like the Krogan are ready for a cure, but not like this. And not like this is important for Paragon Shepherd because the ends don't justify the means for Paragon Shepherd.
Okay, so I've always done it because if this data can help get the cure, because Malin didn't secure the cure, right? He didn't reach that final step. But if this data can help somebody else to achieve that, I understand it. And I've never thought about that being more renegade.
Yeah, there were a couple choices where, it felt like Renegade and Paragon were flipped for me, but then also maybe that should ring alarm bells in my head that I'm weird.
No, not at all. And especially because you and I, we talked about this a while ago, that you and I both play very differently. I tend to make more renegade decisions. And so this one didn't feel like that to me.
Interesting. Yeah. I always kind of viewed this as like the classic do the ends justify the means argument. And then to not have that kind of dynamic even present in your explanation to Wrex was a little weird to me. But that's just my little gripe in there. After we have that preliminary conversation with Wrex, we start to descend onto the landing pad, and there is that iconic moment that I know you really love. This is probably one of your favorite scenes in the whole series. And people are going to recognize it right away as soon as I hit this clip. Here's another clip. This one, we'll just call it the Krogan airdrop clip, shall we?
Commander, Solarian ground control says we don't have clearance to land.
Tell them the Dalatrass authorized this herself.
I knew they'd never keep their word. Let's see them try to stop a Krogan airdrop.
Wrex? We have an unauthorized landing.
And who authorized you to hold my race hostage?
And we'll pause it right there because that voice you just heard was Paddock Wicks. However, it can also be Kirahi, I believe, right? Paddock Wicks shows up if Kirahi is dead. And the fun fact about Paddock Wicks is that character is named after Trick Weeks, who is a writer former writer for BioWare, worked on Mass Effect 2 and 3, among other projects. Also lead writer on Veilguard, if I remember right. And we're getting a cameo appearance from Jennasis' cat, Maya. Hi, Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Maya feels very strongly about Wrex.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
So yeah, Paddock Wicks is named after Trick Weeks, and I believe there was like a funny little back and forth that Trick had with another writer, Jondum Bao, who, that's the character's name, Jondum Bao, the Spectre, who's named after John Dombrow, if I remember right.
That sounds right. Yeah,
so
yeah.
They had a funny little back and forth there, but yeah. Anyway, that voice you hear coming out of the woodwork, Paddock Wicks, or Kirrahe, but it is an amazing, like, Shepard's trying to avoid a diplomatic incident, and here comes the Rexing Ball.
And I love that so much. The fact, for me, the funniest moment is when, especially from a female Shepard, the way she says Wrex. It is so mom chastising the little kid doing something naughty, and it's perfect.
Like when you are listening and you're trying to work on some things in your office, and all of a sudden you realize that your children are too silent.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, hold on, what's going on? Yeah. And then, of course, you know, Wrex, I don't know how much Wrex weighs, but I would have liked to imagine that it's also the same weight as a wrecking ball. So when Wrex jumps from the shuttle onto the STG facility, it's almost like you can hear the Salarians crapping bricks.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh, yeah, for sure.
They are STG, right? But at the same time, they have a Krogan battle master airdropping into their clandestine facility. Not the greatest. I do have a couple of questions, though, because as funny as this clip is, it brings up some pretty good moral and ethical arguments. First of all, the anger that Wrex feels toward the Salarians in this moment, is it justified? Or are we just kind of laughing it off as just another angry Krogan, which is kind of in itself playing to a racial stereotype?
It is. I generally don't like it when anger at a situation is brought out against anger at a person. That Salarian, Paddock Wicks, Kirrahe, any of the other ones there, they weren't the ones who created the genophage. They weren't the ones who did further damage. Now, could Wrex be justifiably angry at Mordin, at Malin, at any of the other people who were on the team that furthered the genophage? Yeah, because that directly affected Wrex. But for the initial genophage, I don't think that he should be angry at the individual Salarians that are in front of him.
And that's a great point.
Be mad at
the situation, not those guards in front of them, not Paddock Wicks. That's a great point to differentiate those. And as an adult, it is up to Wrex to contain his emotions. So yeah, I do agree with that. And although I understand why he's so angry, like he's come all this way and now all of a sudden the Salarians are going to pull a fast one saying, well, you don't have permission to land. You know, that that sounds like a Salarian way to get them to, you know, circle and circle until, oh, looks like you got to go, you know, and he's this close. He's this close. And it's just within his grasp of landing there and saving the fertile females, and he's so afraid that it's going to be taken from him. So I think the fear is motivating that anger, among other things. But the interesting thing is that depending on your previous choices, like whether you destroyed Malin's data, that whole are we infantilizing Wrex thing it comes to a head in a later dialogue that you have with Wrex on the patio, that like veranda in the STG facility, right before you go to talk with STG about these fertile females. And so we have another clip here that I can play. Another one from Corbel. Corbel Kludge Wise. And let's take a look at this.
You might not like me much, Wrex, but you're gonna have to trust me here.
I already gave you my trust. Back on Vermeer, remember? I could have put you in the ground that day, Shepard, but I didn't. Don't make me regret that.
Didn't Vermeer get nuked?
Shepard planted the nuke. Wiped out a cure for the genophage. She convinced me it was the right thing to do at the time. Maybe I was the fool for believing her.
Who tipped you off about the females here?
Let's just say it's someone more trustworthy than you.
Oof, that hurts. More trustworthy than you. And it's like, oh, buddy, that you could cut glass with that edge.
Now, obviously, this is one of those ones where you have destroyed the data or you've done additional things. Maybe you didn't get Rex's family armor, so you didn't get his loyalty in ME1. So it makes it a little bit rougher. And because I rarely hear Wrex angry at me. I don't like this, Wrex.
Yeah, right. When I was like looking up some things for this episode, I was kind of surprised to see these clips. Because I always get Rex's armor. I always, save him in Mass Effect 1, always friendly to me in Mass Effect 2. And then when I see him in Mass Effect 3, he's like, oh, Shepard. And it's like a great reunion yet again. So that was kind of surprising to me. Otherwise, this conversation is pretty cordial. And Wrex is, when you ask Wrex about that Krogan airdrop, he calls it good old fashioned Krogan hot air. Because if it wasn't, they'd be dead. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of bravado from the grumpy lizard grandpa. And then he suggests that eating Salarian liver raw, to which Edie can remark that he has a quote unquote unique form of communication.
I like Edie's comments in this one. I've never brought Edie with me, so it was interesting to hear that one. And it's kind of where I wanted to know, who is your favorite squad to bring for dialogue reasons to this mission?
Okay. So I always bring Garrus because of the unique, I always save Kirahi. So then Kirahi and Garrus have some unique dialogue, which is really cool. And then I usually bring Garrus and Liara simply because they're the OGs at that point. And you've already been through Mars, so the Vermeer survivors already totally screwed up from Eva Quarry. I have never brought Javik, but Day Zero here in chat says Javik is peak. Maybe I should bring Javik on this because that would be great, listening to his back and forth with the Salarians.
Oh, yeah. He's got additional, like when Wrex is talking about eating the livers, he has comments on that and so they definitely talk about that. And he talks to Kirahe about it. There's definitely some really good Javik moments.
Yeah.
My favorite is Liara and Garrus, but mainly because of the Yogg moment. When the Yogg runs by, Garrus is talking about, is that the next Shadow Broker? I swear he just said to Sony, and Liara is so mad at him.
Yeah, that's a great one. My favorite moment, though, on Sur'Kesh has got to be the, please don't touch that. Please don't touch that. Really? Must you touch that? That Salarian gets so bent out of shape, and it turns out being the Yogg feces analyzer. But that one's my favorite. This is also the entry point into where the gameplay really picks up in terms of the pacing. So like the narrative pacing, like I feel like Mars sets the tone, but then Sur'Kesh gives us this sense of urgency, and we feel it by proxy because of the stakes for Wrex and for the Krogan. So we learned that Mordin was Rex's inside source. Big surprise there. the thought just occurred to me, though, if Morden dies in Mass Effect 2, who is Rex's inside source? Is that Paddock Wicks or Kirhi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there is somebody else. I believe it's Paddock Wicks. If not, there is somebody else. Oh my gosh, there is. No, it is because Paddock Wicks and Eve will have a conversation, and then they'll talk about how Paddocks will not sing when he's on the Normandy.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I remember that.
Okay, so we hear from Rex's inside source, Morden, and Cerberus attacks, and then we eventually secure Eve, quote-unquote Eve, the last remaining fertile female Krogan, and Rex approaches her and then displays a little bit of chivalry, right, when she's coming out of the containment pod. And he extends his arm as if to help her down from the containment pod. And she doesn't take it. And instead she walks right by him. And she grabs his gun when two Cerberus, I think at least two Cerberus troopers land, and she shoots them herself. And she tells Rex, "I can handle myself, Rex." And then he looks at Shepard and says, "Women." And then we hear the canned studio laughter.
Yep. Fun fact, the gun Rex and Eve are using is this one, the M600, or the M300. And I have a replica of that. So thanks, dude.
Oh, you're welcome. I got Jennasis that as a thank you and a welcome to the show. This is what you're missing too, by the way, if you're not checking us out on YouTube. She has the replica here in front of the camera, which is pretty. The replica is larger than I thought it would be. So that's pretty cool. It comes on its own plaque. The BioWare gear store. Pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, that takes us to back aboard the Normandy, where we have another very important regrouping sesh with that trio, I guess you could say, of the Turian hierarchy, the Salarians, and Wrex. And listen to how this part goes right here.
You have the female, Wrex. A cure for the rest of your people can come later.
That wasn't the deal.
But Palaven needs your reinforcements now. We can't delay.
Unless every Krogan gets the cure, there's no alliance.
Morden, how long will it take to finish a cure?
Need to synthesize base antigen from female. Also requires healthy male Krogan tissue. We'll need a sample.
You're looking at it.
Acceptable. We'll need you to remain aboard Normandy for procedure.
Let's hope the food's gotten better.
So that's a pretty funny reference to, I guess he would be referencing Rupert, right? Chef Rupert, but he wasn't aboard the Normandy from Mass Effect 2. So maybe it was whoever was cooking in the Normandy's kitchen for Mass Effect 1 and they really sucked.
Either that or they didn't have a cook and so therefore the food had to be made all by yourself.
Maybe there's that. Maybe there's like paste. He was getting nutrient paste like Tali and Garrus were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want to think about that.
He makes that joke, but he also, in case people miss that, he was talking about having to volunteer a tissue sample.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we hear from him later, too, after he gets that tissue sample taken. And he's not exactly happy about it.
Well, he's not very happy about where the tissue sample had to come from.
He's walking a little funny after that one, yeah. So that's pretty funny. I still think that he's got it way better than Eve. Eve's got all the experiments going on her. So then I think that Wrex is like reasonable and feeling a little bit impatient about when they can cure the genophage and demanding the genophage cure before that he sends his troops into battle. However, like that genophage cure is going to take a while, man. And like there's pressing war needs right now. So I also understand where Victus is coming from when he's like, oh my God, come on, Wrex. Like we're working with you here, but you got to work with us too.
Right. Wrex is justifiably impatient, and I think that Shepard and Morden make him see that this isn't going to just happen with a snap of the fingers. Science takes time, buddy.
That's a good motto. Science takes time. We should have that with Morden's face on a t-shirt. Science takes time. And then Morden's face. It'd be like pro-science propaganda, I guess. I don't know. So then Eve is hanging out with Morden in the Normandy medbay, and basically taking up Chakwas' office space. That's what's going on. And that's when, guess who shows up at Eve's bedside? Let's hear a little bit more from this. Oh, sorry. I just lost. There it is. I got the clip, everybody. I did it. Here we go.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, Wrex. You can relax.
Can't be too careful, or put any faith in Solarian doctors.
This one is different.
Is he? What's that?
Simple blood test.
What kind?
Kind that ends the genophage. Far less painful than tissue sampling.
Don't remind me. I think you enjoyed doing that.
Shepard, please. Distraction's counterproductive. Also affecting comfort of patient.
He was your inside source, Wrex. You can trust him.
Solarians have minds like a maze. You never know when they're leading you into a trap.
Trap? Eve's release my doing. Would never have known about her if not for me.
That was then. But she's out now. And if she gets hurt, I'll feel it.
Understand. But my patient, my responsibility. Her welfare a priority. Will not allow her to be compromised by anyone.
You got a quad, Doctor. Keep her safe. Our females have endured enough.
Don't forget, still need your tissue sample.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. He's so grumpy. He's like, oh my God. So, okay. He is really paranoid about Solarian medical practice. And I think that's pretty understandable, like that why he's paranoid about Solarian doctors experimenting on, the last vestige of hope for his people.
Absolutely. I would be too. I would be very nervous, but it's Morden. It's somebody he knows. It's somebody he trusts. And I think that's the only reason that it happens this way.
Yes, I can only imagine, like, he's already being kind of a hover patient. I can only imagine, especially for those of you who practice medicine, what it would be like to have a patient's loved one like Wrex around, who's physically intimidating and visibly irritated. So that wouldn't be great. I'd have security in the room with me ASAP. But of note, these conversations with Eve in the med bay are actually, they go way different if Reeve is there, if Wrex is gone, and it's Reeve instead. So Eve tells Shepard that she really resents how Reeve has, quote, all the makings of a tyrant, end quote, and that she's clearly, Eve is clearly the key to Reeve's ambitions. That is a different feeling.
Very different. And I don't even know if I've ever watched or listened to any of the Reeve dialogue before. Just because it's something that I know that I'm never going to have in any of my playthroughs. I guess I should go back and watch it through because I know it's something that I'm not going to experience in the game itself. But I think it's just because the interaction that we'll have with Reeve later, I just didn't like him. And I didn't, knowing after your first playthrough and everything like that, what would happen if Reeve was, if you don't do the right steps to cure the genophage, or saving Wrex in the beginning. I just don't want him. I don't like him.
Yeah. Well, like his tyrannical ambitions, maybe that does make sense for if I would be curious about the statistics on how many people chose to sabotage a genophage cure. And of those people, what percentage of them had Reeve instead of Wrex?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot more justifiable. Doesn't make it right, but more justifiable if Reeve's around.
I agree with that. And then, I mean, that does make you able to save Morden if Reeve is there, because that's the only way that he's willing to sabotage it. Yeah. If you want to sabotage the genophage with Wrex around, you have to kill Morden yourself.
You know, Eve talks about when if your Wrex is dead because you killed him or Ashley killed him on Vermeer in Mass Effect 1, Eve talks about that, saying that she wishes that Wrex were here because he was more reasonable. And that actually suggests that she knew him before Shepard killed him on Vermeer. And she says, quote, Wrex was wrong at the time, but Reeve is wrong all the time.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, I really screwed up, didn't I? That's what I'm thinking when I hear that.
I wonder when they would have met.
I don't know.
I guess
she is Urdnot.
They're both old.
But does she don the Urdnot clan name because of Wrex's actions in Mass Effect 3? Or was she always part of Clan Urdnot? That's a detail I'm not too familiar on right now.
Yeah. All right. So there is one more quick exchange that you only have as a female Shepard that I wanted to point out because, believe it or not, we have good ideas too.
Okay, and here's the other clip.
Back on Sur'Kesh, it looked like the female Krogan could hold her own.
Our females don't lack for spirit. For males, a good show of force sorts things out. But females like to talk about it. Then think about it. Then talk about it some more. No offense.
Believe it or not, we sometimes have good ideas, Wrex. You should try listening.
Yeah, but our women have so many of them. So sometimes I pretend to listen and, well, let's just say Krogan females have tempers too.
This feels like I'm talking with the old married guy at work.
Yeah.
Who's advising that I nod my head and say, yes, dear, and avoid a lot of unnecessary arguments in marriage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, happy wife, happy life.
Right. And it's funny to hear Wrex put on his back foot like this, right?
Yes. I love that Krogan females can stand up to Krogan males. What's the line? Spartan females are more powerful because only they can bear Spartan men.
I've never heard that before, but I like that. Yeah.
So goes along the same route. All right. Now, before we make our way to Tuchanka, I think this is a good place for us to take a mid-break and prepare to either cure a disease or commit genocide.
Yay! All right, let's go.
We have beef, we have bacon, we have beer. The foods of my people.
Young men have funny ideas of what Asari are like. I blame the extranet and computer games.
Wrex?
Shepard.
Grunt?
Shepard.
Wrex? Grunt?
Okay, and we're in the mid-break, and Jennasis' Cat Maya is giving us some serious evil side-eye. Hi, Maya.
She loves her perch.
Yes, she does, and we are disturbing her peace right now. So I have a sound effect for you, a sound line that you have to guess when this is from. And I'm going to go ahead and play it. Listen carefully. I'll play it multiple times if you want because it's a short one, okay? So here it is.
And that's why I hate politicians.
Okay, that's obviously Ashley.
I'll play it one more time.
And that's why I hate politicians.
Emmy won when talking to the Terra Nova guy.
Close, but no cigar. Yes, Mass Effect 1. Yes, Mass Effect 1. But this is immediately after Eden Prime when you've recruited Ashley and you're standing there with Ashley and Kaidan getting badgered and berated by Udina. And so right after Udina cuts you free and just basically blames you for failing this mission and making a political crap storm, then Udina walks away and she says, and that's why I hate politicians. So,
all right.
Anyway, seemed particularly relevant. Relevant as always. All right, but let's move on. Yeah, I got you because you got me last week. So we're gonna go back and forth trying to get each other for a while. I don't see any new reviews this week, but as a reminder for everyone, if you do want us to read out your review and you like this show and you want to tell people about it, then leave a 5-star review, and you can leave it on Apple or I believe like there's any number of different places. Wherever you can write a review, I'm pretty sure it'll show up through our new aggregator, Rephonic, where I'm reading these reviews. We had to replace our aggregator not long ago, but now I'm seeing reviews from Apple, Podchaser, from multiple different platforms, including like Castbox, Podcast Addict. Anyway, if you listen on any of those platforms, you want us to read it out, leave a 5-star review. Honestly, that's like some of the highlights of my week, reading these nice reviews that people have. And maybe if you have not so nice things to say, we still read them, maybe just not out loud on the show because sometimes it's not very nice. But that being said, we have like a serious milestone to celebrate. We are now over 1,000 ratings on Spotify. So more than 1,000 of you have rated our show on Spotify. And drum roll, please. We have a 4.9 star average. That's crazy. That's crazy town. I don't even think that show's this good. But I feel extremely humbled by that. That's going on my resume. Maybe I'll get that like printed out on a sheet of paper or something and hang it up on my wall. But seriously, 1,000 ratings on Spotify. Thank you all so much. If you listen on Spotify, you can just set how many stars you like the show. That helps us a lot, and I'm pretty sure it helps us get discovered more in Spotify's algorithm and what shows it recommends to people. So if you are listening and you like it, just takes like 2 seconds. If you could just hit however many stars you feel. And Spotify also has like a new feature where you can respond to each episode if you want. You can just write your thoughts in the comments on each episode. That's just if you want. That might take a little longer. So at any rate, thank you all for that level of support. And speaking of support, we do have to shout out our Tier 5 patrons, which we do every month, or every week rather. And those are William, Superfly 440, Red Trobot, Lieutenant Tusino, Kira C, Edboy, and Draco. And we have one more Tier 6 patron. That is Commander Shrinky Shep. Thank you, Commander Shrinky Shep, for another month of support at Tier 6. That means that Commander Shrinky Shep is going to be able to pick another topic for us to cover. I don't know where he's going to go with this, but I'm very excited to find out, Jennasis.
Absolutely. So am I. Last month was a lot of fun. I loved talking indoctrination theory, and I can't wait to see what he picks next.
That's right. Yeah, I have no idea where he's going to go with it. I guess we will find out, and we'll let you know as soon as the voices tell us in our heads.
After time adrift among open stars, along tides of light and through shoals of dust, I will return to where I began.
Solarian reproduction different, very little sex drive. If intended to try human, would try you.
Ow, my pancreas.
Morden, do we need to send you to some harassment training? Come on.
Right. Possibly. He might need a refresher course.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we pick back up where we left off. We move forward on this mission. Jennasis, where does this take us?
Yeah, so Wrex and the Primarch share more back and forth while on the Normandy, and Wrex wanting to know what the shady Turian is up to, and the Primarch wanting to cover for misdeeds done in the past. And we can't change the past, but we can make better and more informed decisions moving forward. This is, of course, regarding to the bomb left on Tuchanka, during the previous wars that the Turians had left there. Now, after completing the preliminary side missions, you can finally tell Wrex that both you and Morden's cure are ready to move out. But before this can happen, the Dalatrass wants a word with you. This opens the option of sabotaging the genophage cure in the final moments. Oh, it's... Listening back to this conversation and trying to think about it in different ways, I have always just heard it as this is a shady Solarian trying to pull the wool over the Krogan's eyes. And of course the human will betray them because, you know, we are also shady and shifty. But that's not who we are. That's not who my shepherd is.
Well, yeah. And I think that most people aren't. And it's like painful to even entertain the idea. So I guess that being said, like if someone has a really compelling reason for sabotaging the genophage that isn't the same justification that the Dalatrass gives us, well, you know, the Krogan are savages and they'll rise up and be a problem later. I would love to hear this. You know, leave a comment in the YouTube video or on Spotify because we can see those. And so I'd love to read through people's reasoning there. But for me, I'm definitely with you, Jennasis, where it's just way too painful to even entertain the idea of being that like duplicitous with Wrex, who as a representative of his people has placed in you so much trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The duplicity of it, I think, is what gets to me. I couldn't, if I was upfront about it, if I was able to, in a world where maybe I could disagree with the genophage and promote it from the very beginning and tell Wrex that I don't agree with this, I don't agree with curing the genophage at all, then I think that might be a storyline that I could play down. But for me, the doing it shady and behind the back, that's what I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, it's not being authentic. It's not being sincere. And it doesn't show that you have any moral conviction at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. And up next, we fight our way through Reaper forces to get the ground team in place. Let's listen to how this battle goes down and how self-centered, short-sighted, uninformed, idiotic brothers can mess with the plans for the greater good.
All right. And here's this clip brought to us by Corporal Clutchwise again.
They'll sing battle songs about this someday. Reaper blood has finally soaked our soil.
We have to get to the Shroud. The airstrike is on its way.
Female safe, Shepard. Recommend haste, however. Vital signs troubling.
What's a Solarian doing here? Nobody said anything about this.
Multiple Krogan. Problematic.
Who are you?
Erdnot Reeve, brood brother to our illustrious leader. Reeve and I share the same mother, and nothing else. For which I'm thankful. I remember what it means to be a true Krogan. We flay our enemies alive and drown them in a geyser of their own blood. We don't invite them into our home.
There's no time for this. Whatever grudge you have against Solarians ends right now.
As long as it involves a bullet in his head, time for some payback.
Headbutt. There we go. And I think I stopped that a little bit early, but I think you get the gist. Wrex is not taking that kind of crap from Reeve.
Oh, yeah. No. Headbutt straight to the face. And it shows that Wrex is still being Krogan. He's not what Reeve says he is. You know, and I don't remember the name of the Krogan in ME2 who is accusing him of forgetting the old ways. No, he comes out reveling in the fight, and he's talking about the bloodlust and the fact like Reaper blood have soaked the soils. That's iconic Krogan talk. But he is also willing and able to set aside grudges with Morden. He says that this Solarian is with me. And that's a huge statement. to claim a person as a Krogan is like basically adding him to the Krant, basically saying he's under my protection. You want to kill Morden, you have to kill me first.
Which, yeah, like you said, is huge that he would put his life on the line like that for a Salarian who literally worked on modifying the genophage. So this goes to show that, like, Wrex isn't just loyal, but he also has integrity. He could have easily thrown Morden to the wolves. Of course, he wouldn't get his genophage cure if that were the case. So he does need Morden in that respect. But also, Reeve is kind of a douche.
Very much so.
A little bit of an edgelord here.
Yeah. Wrex knows that Reeve is holding on to the past, and it will be the downfall of Krogan society if they follow it. And this is the true moment for me that Wrex shows that he is the best thing for the future of the Krogan.
Yeah, what's interesting too for me is that in this scene, you can see a decent amount of Krogan standing behind Reeve, meaning that he has gained at least some level of political support.
Mm-hmm. And it would be interesting to go back and watch and see if Shepard's relationship with Wrex is better, if the tables are kind of turned, if there are more supporters around Wrex when he walks down the stairs and everything like that.
That'd be good. Yeah, that's a good point, because here in these clips from Corbel Kludgewise, it looked like they went through their playthrough and didn't get his armor, didn't save the data for Malin. So yeah, I would wonder if that changes the number of background actors surrounding Reeve versus Wrex. That'd be really interesting. And this is kind of a transitory moment in the Tuchanka mission, right? Because the next thing that we're going to is the Shroud.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everyone gets into the transports. They hit the road to the Shroud, and you have the opportunity to share the details of the Dalatar's plans. So we move the quest forward. Big booms. Shepard finds old Krogan history, and Wrex formulates a plan involving the mother of all Thresher Maws, the Lady Calros. I love it so much.
Calros would be an amazing name for a cat. Calros.
Ooh.
And it's got to be an orange.
Calros the cat. Yes, very much so. Oh, so Miracle of Sound also has a song dedicated to Calros. Huge Miracle of Sound fan.
Incredible. Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. This is assuming that you're actually going to cure the genophage and that you haven't sabotaged it on accident. Now I'm thinking in my next playthrough, maybe I'm going to intentionally let Ashley kill Wrex in Mass Effect 1 and then see if I can still cure the genophage come Mass Effect 3. Because I think it's far more difficult to do that, if I'm not mistaken, with Reeve in charge. But also, if I can't, it's kind of like, will I feel as bad with Reeve in charge?
Yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know. It'd be interesting to watch you play through that and see how you get there. I know the next scene that I wanted to talk about can go so many different ways. And all of those choices up to that moment lead to this line that there were like 8 different variations on, ranging from Wrex telling you, "Don't get your ass killed. I wouldn't know what to say at your funeral." To, "I know that you were only doing this for your own reasons." And then to this, one of the most heartfelt moments with a Krogan.
All right, let's take a listen.
I want you to know that no matter what happens, you've been a champion to the Krogan people, a friend of Clan Urdnot, and a sister to me. To every Krogan born after this day, the name Shepard will mean hero. Now, let's show them why. Go! I've got this! I am Urdnot Wrex, and this is my planet!
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very Krogan moment right there. A true Krogan moment, TM, where Wrex, much like Grunt that we see in Mass Effect 3, kind of like shoulders away these Ravagers and then just charges head first into battle. But yeah, I always hear that clip because I'm always super nice to Wrex, always cure the genophage. So hearing that always makes me feel really good. But like, why would you not hit that Paragon interrupt to dap up Wrex when you can, right?
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
It's kind of a funny Paragon interrupt because all you do is like switch your handshake from like normal handshake to bro shake.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a relic of early aughts culture, I think.
Yep.
But the fact that it was programmed in the game anyway. But you have some analysis here that this is a moment where Wrex is fulfilling his destiny.
Oh, yeah. He is fully actualized, a true leader of not just clans, but a people as a whole. How can anyone not love him? This is the Wrex that I assume most of us know, our brother, our squad mate, and a part of our personal grant.
This is like the prophesized hero, like Wrex, where he's like, donning the full armor of, I don't know, fill in the blank with fictional nouns. You know what I mean? Like he is going from that kind of exiled prince archetype that I was talking about earlier to he is now the warrior who is leading his people from the front. He is charging in front. He is not shouting orders from the back. So yeah, he's the definition of like a wartime leader.
We've talked a lot about the Wrex that we know and love, and we've talked a little bit about how things can go wrong for him. And there is a side of Wrex that hurts my soul. Betraying Wrex is the second hardest scene for me to watch in the entire trilogy. And that's only behind choosing the Geth over the Quarians and not being able to broker peace. I lived through that scene on my first playthrough, and no, I cried legitimately in front of my television. Had to pause and go ask my husband what I did wrong. I could not do that one again.
Okay, so that has one of the best parts of the Mass Effect soundtrack in that Geth Quarians, if the Quarians all die, one of the best the scores in that piece, one of the best by far. But to get it, you have to suffer so much.
No, to get it, I just need to open Spotify. That's how I get that music now.
Yeah. Well, yes, but it feels different. It hits different when it's paired with the decimation, not just the decimation, but the annihilation of all of the Quarian people. So yeah, I think that for me, the Quarian Geth thing, it's probably one of the most heartbreaking scenes that I could never do in Mass Effect 3. But yeah, I agree with you. This next one is so horrible to experience, I can imagine, but even to watch it secondhand is like terrible.
Yes. Let's take a listen to how Wrex reacts to a shepherd who not only didn't stop the Turian bomb, they destroyed Malin's data, and they sided with the Solarians to sabotage the genophage.
Oh, okay. So we have the clip here in front of us. This one's by Perfect Paradox. Thank you for the clip, Perfect Paradox. Here's the clip, and prepare yourself and your gentle little heart.
What have you done?
Why would I betray you, Wrex? I've known you a long time. It's you and me, taking on the galaxy together.
But words aren't going to cut it this time, Shepard. I will honor our friendship, though, by shooting you in the head and making it quick! That was for the bomb that exploded on Tuchanka, the one you couldn't be bothered to stop. And before you die, I want you to know I'm calling off our support for Earth. If my people go extinct, so do yours.
It doesn't have to be this way, Wrex.
It should have been this way back on Vermeer. But I made the mistake of trusting you, believing you were my friend. Ah! Ah! I know what you did.
What the hell pissed him off?
I don't know. He just went crazy.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there just because it's so excruciating. Hearing Wrex go, I know what you did, Shepard. And Shepard pulling the trigger, Wrex falls backward through the glass to his death on the Citadel. I mean, this was me the first time watching that. No! Man, it was, that's probably the most excruciating scene I think I've ever seen in Mass Effect. Definitely one of the most in any RPG.
Yeah. It hurts because he calls you out on all the things like, I trusted you. You made me believe in you, and then you did all of this to betray me.
This is a true Sith moment for Shepard. Like, this is, you know how the Paragon Renegade thing was like a leftover remnant of the light side, dark side mechanic from KOTOR? Well, this is like really showing that you can choose to be just like this horrible, duplicitous a-hole who doesn't deserve any alliances at all. And is like, this scene is a giant guilt trip, but rightfully so.
Oh. Also, on just a complete tangent, because I want to leave it lighthearted, I hate the fact that they reuse Cortez's face and body model as the guy who tells Wrex to take it to no weapons allowed.
Wait, really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's Cortez that walks up and then a completely different voice comes out of his mouth.
Ooh, okay. That's a strange choice to reuse that. But all right. You know what else? You know what I hate about this beyond the excruciating betrayal from Shepard is the level of sociopathy you must have to tell Bailey after Bailey's like, what the hell was that about? Because Bailey doesn't know that you sabotaged the genophage cure. So the level of sociopathy that you must have if you're Shepard for you to go, I don't know. He just went crazy.
And then the fact that Bailey follows it up with, that's just what Krogans do. Sometimes they, the genophage made it to the point where now they just sometimes snap.
Like, wow, you guys are horrible people. That like
I liked Bailey.
Yeah,
not anymore.
I was never a huge fan of Bailey. But also because for those of you who don't know, he is kind of on Udina's payroll, kind of not. But you should definitely check out the comics because there's a little bit about that, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later. Bailey is, I think, one of the reasons why Executor Palin dies, if I remember right. Well, maybe I'm misremembering. He's definitely involved somehow. I forget, but we're going to have to cover that at some point. So really interesting, deep Bailey lore. But yeah, this is Rex's untimely death if you betray him. But if you don't, and you cure the genophage, then he lives by the end of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah. And so I think that we should wrap things up here because we definitely have more to talk about with Wrex. And we also have the Citadel DLC to talk about. And this would make this episode way too long if we covered all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that final Krogan speech can be quite inspiring.
Oh, on Earth? Yes. Yes, it can. Yeah, there's different variations from that depending on how you played your game. So that's pretty interesting. We'll cover that. We'll cover Wrex in the Citadel DLC at another time. But until the next episode, what do you got going on, Jennasis, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I have 2 other shows, the Two Girls, One Ship podcast, where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. We have covered all 4 Mass Effect games, the OG trilogy and Andromeda, and you were on a couple of those for Ashley.
Damn right.
I also do the Cyberpunk Lorecast, where we explore the foundations of the past, the state of Night City today, and the news of the future of all things cyberpunk.
Yes, highly suggest everyone go check out those shows. Extremely well done, especially those Ashley episodes of the Two Girls, One Ship. Those were great. So go check those out if you haven't yet. I am trying to stream every week. My gosh, it has been crazy town with my schedule and just football and different events coming up every weekend on Sundays. So I have taken the past couple weeks off of streaming, but I promise I am streaming my Cyberpunk playthrough. I'm going to keep streaming it on Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm trying to put my new PC through the paces, and I feel so great playing Cyberpunk on ultra settings and still getting 120 FPS or something crazy like that. It's at 1440p, so it's not 4K, but anyway, I'm having a great time. It looks great. Yeah, people can find me on Twitch at N7 Legend, same handle on Blue Sky, pretty much any social media account that I have. That's where you'll find it. You can also give us a follow for the Lorecast. We have a new Twitch account for the Lorecast itself. Please give us a follow there. Help us get to affiliate there. And then that way we can, upload more of our own emotes. You guys can get access to those emotes, and we can kind of foster more of a community that way. So if you can help us get to affiliate, that would be awesome. We also have a new Mass Effect Lorecast Blue Sky account. Please go give us a follow there. And I don't think that we have any definitive plans for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have to huddle with Commander Shrinky Shep and ask our Reaper overlords what they demand of us and what we must cover. We're going to have to do that. But that's all we got for you this week, Spectres. We will catch you next week, same time, same place. And until then, I guess, don't betray people. Be sincere with people, because it'll always pay off in the long run and prevent you from having to have some kind of weird confrontation on a space station where you shoot them out a window. Anyway, have a good one, Spectres.